Okay.
Oh, hello! It's me, Mr. Sharkey, and also Mrs. Cat.
Hey guys.
We're gonna look through a quick demonstration to get us started right before we do our stations lab. What I have here, I've got these pull-apart cylinders, as we're calling them. I've got plates on top and bottom, and then a nice little O-ring. And when I place all of these pieces together, notice that they are still coming apart, so there is a chance that I drop them. But with these O-rings, I can create a nice little vacuum seal. On this other side, what we'll see is that I have this syringe, and this is set up to a system of one-way valves. So if Mrs. Cat pulls out on the syringe,
All the way.
the one-way valves are set up so that particles can leave the container and follow through the tube and then get sucked up into the syringe. But as she pushes down on the syringe, the only way that they can go out of the system is down here through the bottom. So particles are not able to go back into my cylinder. Instead, as Mrs. Cat is pumping, the particles are leaving the cylinder. And let's get a couple more in there. And what we should see is that this generates a pretty cool effect. So remember at the beginning, we saw that my plates were able to fall apart. They were separated from each other, but now
It's also becoming harder for me to pump, which is a good sign.
and we can see that the plates seem stuck together. So we're going to do one last part of this demonstration. Mrs. Cat and I are going to try to pull them apart without hurting each other. You can see it takes quite a bit of
A
force
lot of force.
to be able to pull these plates apart.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is on your lab sheet, which you may have a hard copy of, otherwise it's gonna be linked in your assignment on Canvas. You've got this top half that you're gonna fill out right now with your macroscopic observations about what we just explained. But then you're also gonna fill out what's happening with these other variables: amount of gas, temperature, volume, and pressure. Okay, so we talked about the amount of gas, that as the syringe was pumped, the air was being pulled out of the cylinder. So we're gonna say that the amount of gas is decreasing, okay? We don't know anything about the temperature because we didn't take it, so we can assume that the temperature is gonna stay the same. Volume is also gonna stay the same because once this cylinder is put together, we're not changing the size of the container. So volume is going to stay the same. The amount of pressure is going to be the other factor that is changing. And as we put our cylinder together, the pressure isn't changing. But as the syringe is pumped and the air particles are pulled out, the pressure is decreasing, which is going to help hold that cylinder together. As that happens more and more, that's what makes it very difficult to pull the cylinder apart. Obviously, it took a lot of force for Mr. Sharkey and I to actually make it come apart. What you're going to do then is draw a particle diagram of before and after to show what's happening in this demonstration. So the before picture should be when the cylinder was just put together. The after should be after the syringe was pumped, but before we actually pulled it apart. Okay? So we're going to have a similar setup for this for the other stations in your lab. Each of these are just going to be individual, and you're going to do the same process. Fill out this top part with your macroscopic observations, and then work on a part.